Hi there! Welcome to watching VideoGaming Father's video review of a first-person arena shooter mixed with Pac Man called Showtime 2073. Is there any interesting science fiction story explaining why this kind of sport is supposed to be the best show in the year of 2073? Can the classic arena shooter coexist together with Pac Man mechanics? Will you find any RPG elements enhancing the gameplay there? Will you find many interesting and variable enemies in the game? Isn't the game difficulty too high that even Nightmare difficulty in Doom could envy it? Does the game have a user-friendly interface and responsive controls? Can I recommend it for family playing, or is it too violent for this? Will the game audiovisuals make your eyes and ears pleased or rather upset? Any chance for local multiplayer there? Let's find it out together within the next few minutes spent with my Showtime 2073 video review. And let's start with the story. Would you think of some post-apocalyptic, not so far away future, where the world is ruled by the totalitarian government of big corporations that punish everyone who doesn't follow their rules? Your hero is one of them, so he was punished by participating in a little show where the contestants are thrown into deadly arena full of bloodlust enemies going after them. His only mission is to survive, and to collect the orbs where some of them can restore his health. Sounds like a story from Running Man a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, except for orbs, of course. So not so bad, you probably think right now, but the problem is that I have just fabricated it. You can just read a self-confident sign on the main screen that it's the best show in 2073, but nothing else. So when it comes to the story, it can be described by the words nothing, nichts or nada. Hopefully there is more when it comes to the gameplay. Once you start the game, your hero finds himself in the dark labyrinth with strange silver orbs that you are supposed to collect. Every time you collect some, the counter appears showing how many of them you have collected and how many you are supposed to collect in general. So you're just walking through the labyrinth and collecting orbs in the Pac Man style. But you also notice that you have a gun in your hands, so it's likely that it won't be that so easy. Behind the first corner you will find your fans excitedly running towards you to get your autograph. But wait a minute, why do they start beating you? They do not seem like fans at all. They are after your life rather than after your autograph. Seems like a good time to test their weapon. You start shooting some energetic projectiles and the first guys are sent by the direct train to hell. You also notice that the projectiles fired by your weapon are not just the common projectiles, but they are bouncing off the floor and walls, so you do not even need to aim too precisely as they will find their target sooner or later. And you also have unlimited ammo, so it's enough to aim somewhere to the direction where your enemies are coming from and start firing. Does it work? Yes. Does it give you a satisfactory feeling from shooting? Not really. But okay, maybe it's like this to make the game accessible even to the players that have never played any FPS game before. Soon you also find out that the game can also be described by the word runner. Except that here your hero doesn't run automatically, but you need to press shift button for running all time long. Why is it so? Well, simply because if you stop at one place for too long, the enemies start to appear out of nowhere, surrounding you and beating you to death. There is almost no chance of getting out of it if you stop, so the best tactic is simply to run for your life. So the gameplay in the first levels consists of running, shooting in the enemy's direction, and wandering through the labyrinth while hoping to find and collect all 100 orbs. This doesn't sound too attractive so far, does it? And maybe the other levels bring more fun. Well, the answer for this is short. Not really. In the second level you find yourself in the big open space reminding football stadium, and your task is to collect just 10 orbs, but with big horde of enemies going after you from the beginning, turrets shooting at you on the first sight, and also some indestructible giant mech that will take you down once you get close to it. So, again, you start running, collecting orbs and shooting only on turrets, as all other shooting is just a waste of time, and almost each stop means instant death. Such a level can be finished in less than a minute. Then comes the labyrinth again, but this time there are not just your excited fans, but also the turrets from previous level that you need to destroy to pass through and to get the orb dropping from them. Another running through the labyrinth and searching for 100 orbs to collect. What a change! Then comes another open space level with everything you have already seen plus some fast and jumping mechanical spiders. You do not need to pay much attention to your enemies again, as the only thing you need to do is surprisingly running and collecting orbs. And in the 5th level you are back in the labyrinth again, but now with the presence of giant mechs that are really hard to pass in the narrow corridors. And I must confess that here I just gave up, as repeating the same thing for the 5th time was not even a twisted kind of fun anymore. And there are neither new weapons nor new types of ammo to enhance the gameplay. And I'm not even talking about the presence of some RPG elements that would enhance the gameplay. Nothing. Zero. Nada. You have probably understood that the level design and variety of enemies and environment are not the game's strong sides. They could maybe succeed in some high school project, but not in the game that is being sold for the money. But it would not be the Showtime 2073 if there were not a couple of cons for each of the few pros that this game has. You cannot use the Alt plus Tab combination while being in the game, as it leads to the black screen. And there are more shortcuts like this that can make the game unresponsive. Also, if you hit escape key, the game is closed directly without any questions. Such a design would not be likely accepted even as a student's project. How about the game difficulty and controls? Once you find the right tactics, the game becomes from quite difficult to just normal. It is still challenging though, because the number of enemies is really big and your hero does not endure too many hits. When it comes to enemies, it can be described by a common saying, quantity over quality. There is almost no artificial intelligence, but it is compensated by respawning from nowhere and sudden loss of full health, sometimes most likely because some of the enemies respawn at the exact place where you were standing. Which might be irritating, especially in the situation when you have finally collected 99 orbs in the labyrinth and are seeking for the last one. As for the game controls, they feel quite okay. You just need direction keys, shift key for sprint and your mouse for shooting. The relatively unproblematic controls are compensated by the fact that you cannot change them. So again, even many high school projects are better in this way. Now let's have a look at the game audiovisuals. Game graphics are surprisingly okay. Maybe it's because the game is rather dark, but I have found the environment, enemy models and light effects quite nice. Plus the game runs well even on older machines. Music is dull and becomes very repetitive quite soon, as the game is changing just 2 music tracks if I am not mistaken. Sounds are just average, not especially good, not especially bad. And I do not even need to mention that there is no dubbing in this game. So let's finalize it. I guess that it was quite clear from my review that I was really disappointed by this game. Quite an original idea to combine a first-person shooter with Pac Man mechanics was buried under the big heap of negatives that this game has. I do not even know what irritated me the most. Absence of any story, totally repetitive gameplay, boring and generic level design, enemies respawning from nowhere, still the same environment changing just 2 types of levels, unsatisfactory effect of your weapon, absence of any elements that would enhance the gameplay, instant crashes after pressing some keys or shortcuts, no control changes or generic music. It is really hard to find some positives. Maybe the original game concept, solid graphics, responsive controls, and that the game can be played even on older machines. I can hardly recommend the game for family playing, as I cannot simply recommend it to no one. Maybe to your worst enemies. Showtime 2073 costs €2 on Steam, which is ridiculous considering that there are plenty of better games available for the same price or even for free. Showtime 2073 is like a nice big red apple that attracts you on the first sight by its look and originality, but once you take a bite, you quickly find out how rotten it is inside. It could be a good example of how not to make the computer games in the game design text. Playing Showtime 2073 is like some unpleasant event in your life that you wish to leave behind as soon as possible, and I have not enjoyed it at all. I'm therefore giving this bad attempt for the original game thumbs down and VideoGaming Father's index 2 out of 10. Stay out of it, please! But if you have enjoyed this video review, please do not stay out, please give it a like and subscribe to my VideoGaming Father's channel to be informed about my new video reviews. Hope to see you soon!